Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Glasgow.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Good afternoon, evening or morning, depending on where you are. You are with myself, Mitch, here at the Rangers Journal, joined by the lovely Stephen, as we look through in this mini-series of players who are currently out of contract who could be realistic targets for Rangers in the upcoming window. So we're going to keep this nice and brief, as it's 5 players. We don't want to take up loads of your time as you're watching this. And I'll take the explanation of the first player because it's the only player whose name I can pronounce properly without butchering. Stephen, we have Andrew here from one of the Liga Portugal. Talk to me about him. Come talk to me about this player and what you know about him.
Obviously, for what I've seen, obviously just stats wise, I've not seen much clips of him, but he seems like a very good, consistent shot stopper. See the chances that he saves compared to chances that he's faced. A wee bit of research, and he's made 32 saves in the league games this season for 38 shots faced. A lot of them as well, shots in and around the area, so they're obviously got good reflexes, good one-on-one, and he's 6'2", which is probably average for a goalkeeper, but with that height, he's commanding it. He's good at coming out for the ball, for crosses, for corners. So somebody that looks like they would command the area quite well, command the defence, and obviously fill them with a wee bit of confidence if the ball did go in behind.
I think one of the big things there as well is when you start looking at, when you start looking at that level of shots that he's saving and stuff like that as well, I think it speaks volumes for his concentration throughout 90 minutes as well.
Definitely.
He's not letting, he's not having the brain farts that we've seen from players before. Seems to be, as you say, a good commanding keeper, keeps his line well, and basically just sticks to his job. No thrills, no spills, but he's also got some pretty good passing accuracy and amongst that there as well.
Yeah, definitely. You can see through the table there, his passing accuracy, if it's particularly his long passes, are pretty good, especially for a keeper. So you would like to think that it's something that would benefit us, having that keeper there as the at the background, being able to play the passes out, or play the passes long, depending on how we wanted to play on any given day.
That's it, mate, especially if there's an opportunity that if the opposition are right up in our faces and there's an opportunity to get a decent long ball down the park to, set one of our strikers off to go and score a worldie, then you need to have the right tools at your disposal at the back to go and do that there as well.
Oh, definitely, I definitely agree.
Excellent. So we'll not hark on too much more, and we will move on to our next player, who is Gianluca Busso.
You're asking the wrong person. Gianluca Busso, I'd say.
Yeah, that's right, Gianluca Busso, from Sierra B. Come talk to us a little bit about this player.
Again, when you look at his numbers, obviously 12 matches played, 2 goals. So he's obviously not going to be a goal scorer for us, but what he looks like he's confident on the ball. His passing accuracy, again, progressive passes 76.5%, passes into the final third 79.2%. He's got a decent level of passing, both in the middle and progressive passing into the final third, as well as that defensively. Defensive duels won 66.7%. Aerial duels 51.5%. Obviously he's not the tallest at 5'8", but he seems to get stuck in, and he's got a good level of interceptions and recoveries at 3.5 and 8.2. These all strike me as somebody who's quite controlling in the middle of the park, can dominate midfields, and if we do lose it, he's able to to recover the ball quickly, intercept passes forward, and obviously through there he looks like he's able to control the game on our side so that we can then progress up the park.
I think that's exactly it, mate. Especially when you look at that, the kind of secondary positional map there as well. It covers so much ground, and that like you could see him being probably a maybe more skilled or a Baron-esque type player that a bit of an engine in the midfield that gets things moving.
No, definitely. It does strike me as that sort of player. Maybe obviously just a wee bit more finesse in his play. When you look at the passing accuracies and the progressive passing, like we said, so definitely looks like somebody who would suit, and um, his defensive attributes show that despite his height, he looks like he's quite a physical player. Who will get in and about the midfield and break up games for us and hopefully help us control it like we should be.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I think as well, he's a really good age as well at 23-year-old. That contract expires in the upcoming summer as well. So you would assume maybe a wee pre-contract deal could have been done, or or potentially a kind of cut price move in January, depending on any departures that we have there as well.
Mhm.
But he's played at a decent level down at CRB, and you'd probably like to assume that given his age, he'd probably want to make that step up in league now.
Mhm.
Especially given the fact that most players have got, up until they're about 32, 33 at a top league. So he's probably got 9 years left of making good money at a decent league now.
No, definitely looks like there's obviously room for improvement, and that for the fact that he's still a young guy, 23-year-old. So you'd like to think that's maybe an option to move and take that wee step up, like you said.
Exactly, mate. So we will go on to our third contender, who is Parfit Guanigan. And if I butchered that, any Guanigan fans that are watching, don't shoot me. We're not always perfect at doing these. He's currently playing in the Juniper League over in Belgium at the moment. Obviously, he's a nice, nifty winger there, valued at 4 million on transfer market. Another whose contract is expiring in the upcoming summer. What do you see as this player's kind of key differences to the wingers that we've already got at the club?
Um, well, I think, to be honest, he kind of strikes me as maybe a similar sort of player to Gassama, who obviously came in the summer there. However, obviously he's a goal threat. With the 4 goals so far in the league, he's obviously got 2 assists. So he's a threat, obviously, in that final third. Um, his dribble success at 55%, 0.2% is obviously a decent number. He makes good progressive runs at 4.5, which means he would create us that space rather than come and try to receive the ball. His progressive runs off the ball to make that space for the players to either find him or find one of the other forwards in the area that he's left. Obviously, it looks like he would trouble defences again as well. A good solid passing accuracy, 82.4%, and his crossing accuracy at 38.5, which
Really,
is, I
really high
think,
quality.
it's a good high level crossing, obviously. So it's not just hit and hope. So it certainly seems like somebody who would give us um, that wee bit of goal threat, and obviously a creative threat at the same time. Um, on the flip side, there 4.2 recoveries and 1.4 interceptions. The interceptions is no massive, obviously, but when you look at the recoveries for a forward
It's a
in the
lot of
areas,
work.
it looks like he's not afraid to put the work in and try and recover the ball high up, and get us to win the ball back in the final third, so we can then create chances in that turnover.
I think as well, there's a couple other wee bits that really stand out for myself as well, which is that conversion rate of 20%. That's on a par with some of the best, you know, up there in the top divisions, that way to have a conversion rate of 20% at 24-year-old. And I think when you look as well, those touches in the opposition box per 90 minutes as well, and nearly 3 touches per game in the opposition box, it shows you, I think, a winger that's kind of in and about it as well, positionally
Yeah.
puts himself in the right places and puts himself in the right places to do the right things, essentially.
Definitely, and obviously you can see I think it pays off with the 4 goals so far already this season. He's obviously in and around the box and getting himself into that final third, which is something that you maybe over the years lacked. You have the goals have always really came through the middle, whereas you need your forward men, regardless whether that's through the middle or out wide, to get involved and get you these goals that you're looking for.
Exactly, mate. And we will move on to contender number 4. Give them now this young player.
Don't butcher this name, or God they'll not be happy.
This is a player who is a firm favourite amongst the scouting department, Afamiku Pulululu. And I'm afraid for those within the chat there as well, I am not singing it the same way that he's sung in the stands because we still like to have viewers watching the video come the end of it. Come talk to me because I know that you're a big fan as well of Pulululu. So come talk to me, Stephen.
Um, I think you can see for the chart alone that his numbers, his percentiles, and almost every area that you would be looking for a forward are very high. Obviously he's got 6 goals in 13 games. When expected goals 4.5. Obviously assists, there's no assists there, but at the end of the day, his job is to put the ball in the back of the net. So he's obviously very adept at that. Strong dribbler on the ball. Again, touches in the opposition box, 4.5, which is massive. Again, when you're looking to control games and getting the ball into the box as much as we do, for him to be in and around and getting those touches in the box, you'd like to think then obviously he gets the chances to and puts them away. Again, his recoveries as well, 2.1. It shows a good level of work rate in the attempt to try and press and win the ball back high for us to create those chances a bit quicker. Uh, and obviously, like you said, like you look at some of the numbers on the chart there, very high percentage. Most of the ones you're looking at goals per 90, um, goal conversion rate, dribbles, everything is hitting 80 above, percentile wise. So it's very high numbers for a man that obviously coming out of contract in June
I've
next
got a
year.
wee, I've got a wee question for you about, and it's one that I know that a lot of our viewers are going to be thinking about. Obviously, looking at them. When you look at the options that we currently have in the first team in the striking department, obviously we've got a very raw Chermiti. We've got a player in Majowski who's had a bit of a spotty season last season, and then of course Danilo who's had his own problems over the last 18 months. Where do you see it in terms of profile wise and stuff? What do you see that he brings differently to the party?
I think he seems to be a bit more obviously with the height, 5'9". He's obviously not going to be the big physical profile of maybe Chermiti or even Majowski, who's a big boy. But he's obviously he looks a lot more mobile, a lot more um, agile in terms of his movement off the ball, creating space for us. Whereas I think obviously with Chinmiti, particularly Chinmiti, you look to try and receive the ball into feet, and if it doesn't create with the ball at his feet, then you're kind of struggling. Whereas I feel like he would be a lot better at creating that opportunity for somebody to find him in the final third.
Wee bit of a fox in the box.
Maybe even though obviously just he been around the box, but obviously just out with that in terms of getting about and hassling and harrying defenders and making them think about his movement off the ball rather than just up against a big physical unit, which suits a lot of defenders in our league.
They don't mind a bit of rough and ready because that's
Exactly.
just who they are. Well, we will, without further ado, we will go to the man who is last but not least. Now, Stephen, you know for a fact I'm not taking a crack at this surname. The floor is yours.
The last player we'll be looking at is obviously, don't get me wrong, I might butcher this myself, but Rafiu Durosinme, who plays for Victoria Pilsen in the Czech Republic. Again, this a wee bit opposite for the previous striker we looked at. He's 6'4", so a big profile to aim for. He's only 22 years old, so a lot of years left in his legs to improve. Again, contract out in June 2026. When you look at some of his stats, 13 matches played, 5 goals, which is obviously again a good number of goals for when you compare to the little goals that we've scored this season.
especially from the front line.
Particularly for our strikers again as well. You look at a decent level of dribbling success, and also he touches in the box again, 3.4, a good number to be getting in and around the box. And obviously you would hope that with the touches he's managing to then create the goals. Obviously,
think-
as we spoke, sorry, on you go, mate.
Sorry, mate. I think what's quite important as well when you look at him as well as even when you look at his heat maps, the heat maps tell you the story behind the stats. I think of he's quite a good hold-up player. He'll go and take the ball in the halfway line. He'll go and do some rough meters for the team. He'll go and put a couple of hard yards in, go and pass it out to somebody, make himself available, and basically keeps moving throughout a game, which makes him an absolute mare to play against.
No, definitely, mate. He is, despite his physique and his figure, he is a mobile player. He does get himself about the park rather than just being that sort of target man. He gets himself about and works hard for the team. Obviously, his hold up play, like you said, getting people involved in the attacks is obviously something else that you'd be looking for. And again, we've spoke about the last couple recoveries at 3.4. So he's obviously, again, working hard to win the ball back in that final third for us to try and turn over and create a chance for us. So
That's exactly it, but these are, and as you say, the purpose of these types of videos that we're obviously going to be doing over the course of the next couple of weeks or so as people are watching them as well, is we're not saying that every one of these players are going to be players that Rangers will go out and target, but there's players out there on that expiring contract market that could provide better value for money than what we've basically had over the since the start of the season to now. And I think looking at those options there like Rafu, and when you look at Pulululu in particular, I think there's some really good quality options that you say for a lot less money in January could add quite a lot to the team.
no, I definitely agree, mate. I think there's always a wee bit of I think you've said it yourself. There's always a wee bit of snobbery around signing people for free or signing them on pre-contracts. People think obviously, they're going out of contract, so must be a reason for it. But it's not always a bad reason and on the players' parts. I mean, there's we've seen it ourselves. There's times that they don't agree contract deals or whatever it is at their own club. So we should always, like you said, we should always be in and around looking to try and get these bargains. Because again, although there's some good talent there, if it doesn't work out on the other end, it's no a massive risk on our part.
It's not big screeds of money blowing up the wall, and which is something that we've all had major league issues with, obviously, over the years as well. Well, that will wrap us up for this particular episode of the out of contract players expiring. You guys can join us next time here at the Rangers Journal, and don't forget, every night is the Rangers Journal night.
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.